This 1 Degree Outside video is brought to you by the Topsfield Fair.
At the Topsfield Fair, fun is around every corner. Experience the thrills, flavors, and entertainment you won't forget. From award-winning bites to exciting live shows, prize-winning fun awaits you at the Topsfield Fair, October 3rd to the 13th.
Pattern predictions as we look out to the second half of September. And of course, we had the monthly forecast for you at the beginning of the month. We knew this was going to be a month where water conservation measures were going to have to increase, but the drought has really turned much worse across some parts of New England. Not for everybody. We got some meaningful rain in parts of southern New England. That actually helped to reverse things a little bit. That has simply not been the case in west central and western New Hampshire. We've got one small area from Lebanon running all the way up to Hebron, Bridgewater at Newfound Lake, up to Thornton on I-93, and Warren, Wentworth through Dorchester. That is at the heart of what is now an extreme drought. And this is, Danielle went back and looked over all the drought monitor issuances that have happened for the 25 years that they've issued this. It's a government university consortium. This is the worst that's been on record for this particular area. Folks with dug wells, or basically rainwater wells, surface groundwater type wells, are running out of water. It's a big deal. So we have to look at this pattern predictions and say, are we going to be able to turn that around in that area or elsewhere in New England? Just a reminder, if you really like this stuff, you like to get into the nitty-gritty of weather, you may like a membership. Membership.onedegreeoutside.com. We take the 14-day forecast that you get free in our 5-star app, and we say, okay, but what's driving it? What may change, and what should you watch for? One thing that stands out to me is when we started out the month, and even last week in pattern predictions, we were awaiting a shift of some of the colder air near the North Pole to come from the other side of the globe in the Northern Hemisphere and make a shift toward us, or at least into Canada. So it was going to reposition where the heart of the cold is. We don't really see that happening. A lot of that theme has been lost in the 2-week forecast. Is it a big deal? No, it really makes very little difference. What you're going to end up with, though, is just less intense cold that's available out of Canada, which does make a difference on the average temperature. You're closer to normal as we go through the next 2 weeks. Daytime highs will be above normal on a number of days, but the nighttime lows in dry air may bottom out and kind of make up for that, so you average out close to normal. But nonetheless, as we get the tropics getting more active, there's no change to the idea that in the next couple of weeks, that action stays away from New England, away from the Northeast. You've got one time frame that the window opens a little bit as we get to this upcoming Sunday, Monday, so about a week from this video recording. And then as we get into the end of the month, I wouldn't take these forecasts too tremendously seriously. We're a little bit limited on what we can show for guidance here in these maps, but the idea is that you end up with still these incursions of energy that come down a northern stream. The thing I'm saying don't take too seriously is the exact placement on some of these disturbances they dig in. I think that they may be a little bit flatter and a little bit faster, and that's a little bit better indicated in the jet stream pattern map as well, which basically keeps buzzing along. Again, you briefly open up windows from the south, but the problem is if you can't open up a tropical window, while that's a good thing because it means that any tropical system to develop would have a very hard time getting up here, except for that 1 or 2 times that you open the window. The downside of that is you're also not adding tropical moisture into the equation, right? So you've got drier air. Notice as we head out through the next several days and out through the next 2 weeks at large, you warm up during the course of the day, you cool down at night. That's why you see these big swings in temperature that show up, but you don't see any huge area of warming across the country or huge area of cold incursion either. And that's why when you put it together, you come out pretty close to normal. Again, daytime highs on some days certainly will go warmer than normal because of the dry nature of the air. By the way, normal continues to settle down this time of the year, coming into the lower 70s. For some of us, it's closer to 70. And normal would be to get some frost into play as well. There is a chance of that this upcoming weekend in northern New England, mid-September, late September. Some of these spots, a few of them, have already seen frost in the far north country, but historically, you'd expand that. We don't see any reason to deviate from pretty close to normal with the kind of pattern that's coming up. In fact, if anything, you may be able to go a little bit ahead of schedule in some of this late September zone, depending on this upcoming weekend and just how chilly it gets, even though the New England average low temperature for the upcoming weekend is mid-40s. Once you start getting into some of the valleys, some of the sheltered spots across central New England, you definitely have that chance to get down around 35, 36 for a frost heading into the weekend. So you want to pay close attention to our daily forecast, our insight videos, the deeper dives here as we get closer in on that. And of course, use the app, right? One of the things that should stand out to us too, though, is if we are devoid of tropical moisture here in the Northeast, we are devoid of much in the way of rain. So unfortunately, that drought area likely will expand. That extreme drought will expand a bit more in central and western New Hampshire. We just don't see a lot of way around that. When you look at the chance of precipitation, yeah, when you get some of these disturbances coming in, it can raise the chance of showers briefly, but none of that without a tropical tap is going to be all that meaningful. So that leaves us again with an area of expanding drought across the northeastern United States. That means that here in New England, we probably find these areas getting a little bit worse. That's the way things look for now. But of course, we will keep you posted with those insight videos I mentioned, those deep dives into meteorology that we do every weekday for you. And you can find it all at onedegreeoutside.com or always atop the home screen of our app, the 1 Degree Outside weather app, and streaming onedegreeoutside.live.